Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and it's mailbag time. This video is recorded on Thursday because we're trying to do an extra live show on Thursday night. If you didn't know that, hit the subscribe button. Tune in next week. And today's mailbag is presented by Yumwoof. 50% off your trial at Yumwoof.com. This is the dog food that I trust for my guy Chuck. He's had some stomach issues, and over the past 3 weeks, he really likes this food, and everything's been going well. So if your dog's got some stomach issues, a weak stomach, give Yumwoof a try. I think that'll like it. Let's go to Royal Raider 45. Mitch, I saw your cut video. Do you really think that the Raiders are going to cut Andre James? I mean, it's an option, right? So I think you're talking about my Raiders cut candidates video, which is, candidates that could potentially be moved on from. If the Raiders move on from Andre James, they save over $5 million. I think James is a good center. He's a good center. But when I hear guys like McDaniels and Ziegler say, hey, we got to get our guys, there could be an opportunity for them to upgrade at the center position. If you're worried that you're not going to get a better option, then you don't go out and get a better option. I do think that James has done a better job of always slightly getting better. He's fallen off at times. He's up and down. He is a good center. However, if you can upgrade, and one of the options could potentially be a guy like Dylan Parham playing center, and then you look to go out and get a guard, a lot of different things could potentially happen. The bottom line is you could save over $5 million. So, will the Raiders cut Andre James? Type C for cut, type K for keep. If I had to bet on it, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion, I do think that the Raiders end up moving on from Andre James, save that extra money, and then you invest it in another spot. But yes, you do take that risk then, and having a guy at center who was there all last season, and now you got to look to add another offensive lineman. It's a risk, but it wouldn't surprise me if it ends up happening. Super chat coming in here from Greg Mays. Cut Carr, anything under a second-round pick, not worth $40 million, screw job. I mean, I think what you're referring to is if the Raiders were to make a trade, let's say for a third-round pick that apparently is being reported. Remember, if the trade goes down, it's not officially official until March 15th, the new league year at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So hypothetically speaking, the Raiders can make a trade with the Saints. It's, let's say, for a third-round pick. And then, I don't know, any day after February 15th and any day before March 15th, if the Saints are like, you know what, I don't want to do it. Or if Carr's like, I don't really feel like going to New Orleans now. Carr then goes back to the Raiders, and then the Raiders have to pay him $40.4 million. So there's a risk by trading DC. So I understand when people are like, if it's not anything good, why would we make the trade? There is a risk, but I think this team's willing to take the chance. Let's go to Brandon Jasper. And my mock draft, I'm taking Chugs because I've seen him with his shirt off on locals. What a physique. He's game ready. I mean, I'll tell you this. I've seen an 8-pack once in real life. First time I ever saw a 10-pack was on local, so shout out to Chugs. Let's go to Rashissimo Locke. I told my girl she better have my back like little boy's girlfriend did. What's funny is he's like laying, if you don't know, Jeremy went viral on Twitter. Check him out, at Jeremy Chugs on Twitter. Basically, some Dallas Stars fan got rocked in the face, and it's like one of those things where it's like, what's the saying? F around and find out. He effed around, found out, and then tried to just be like, I didn't start the fight. Yeah, you did, bro. Yeah, you did. Rashissimo, that's a good one. Appreciate it. Let's go to JMO H, a.k.a. Double J. What players can we get to support Jacobs? I think Jacobs wants a defense. Like, realistically, the offense is ready to win now. You add another good quarterback. You add Aaron Rodgers to this offense. Top 10 offense in my book. You need a defense. And Jacobs is sitting up there saying, we need to add pieces. We need to get loaded up here because he also knows if you have a good defense, that means more opportunities for him. I mean, imagine how much he would have gotten the football if the games were scripted the right way where the Raiders had a lead late in games. Like, Jacobs wants a good defense. He wants to win football games, and he's saying, I'm willing to be franchise tagged if that means we add up get other players because he does. He wants to win football games. Now, today's mailbag is presented by Yumwoof, the #1 air-dried dog food for gut health. If your dog's got a weak stomach like Chuck does, all I suggest is give it a try. And my dog has battled some sort of digestive issues basically his entire life. And yes, that is him pictured in the up on screen. It's heartbreaking because I don't really know what to do. He can't talk to me. And I've gotten more nutrition myself. I realized that food was super inflammatory with lots of seed oils and other stuff that they put in dry kibble. That's why I searched for a non-inflammatory dog food. And by far the best choice was Yumwoof Perfect Kibble. It's a non-GMO air-dried dog food made with USDA meat and eggs for protein and Cocoa Omega. Super fats for gut health. It's so much easier when we're traveling than fresh food, and honestly, way healthier if you understand gut health defines your dog's lifespan. Give it a try and let me know if your dog's health improves too. So for me personally, like, Chuck has always been the dog where I put dog food down in his bowl and he doesn't eat it. And it'll sit there for hours. Like, it's honestly kind of confusing. With Yumwoof, he does. He eats it right away. His bowel movements are a lot more regular. And the amount of doctor trips I made in the first 2 years of his life being like, is his stomach okay? Yes, his stomach always comes back fine, but I'm a worried dog dad. If you're a worried dog dad, if you love your dog, give it a try. 50% off your trial at yumwoof.com. It's going to be in the comments. It's going to be in the description. I'm really happy to have these guys as a sponsor because I use this dog food and it helps out Chuck a lot. Let's go to Juan Morales. What's up, man? Got to give credit when credit's due. Mitch, thanks for keeping Raider Nation notified. You're always the first to come out, giggity, with news. You're the man. Raiders won. I have that commitment to excellence because I know that you guys do too. At the end of the day, we just want to win. And we care about this football team a lot, right? Like Mitchell Renz 365, I know Raider Nation shows out every day as well. So Juan, I salute you. Let's go to Phillip. Jacob said you can franchise tag him, but they need to load up at other positions, correct? He was on PFT. He said it. I talked about it in my rumor show. That's going to go out on Thursday night if you're watching this live tonight. But correct. He said he'd be down to get franchise tagged. Let's go to Tyler M11. Here's my trade idea. Also, Tyler, shout out to you. I love when people do these. Raiders get Marshawn Lattimore and a 2024 6th. Saints get Derek Carr and a 2023 4th. I mean, so Lattimore is more valuable than Carr. I mean, if I get Lattimore, I'm taking the deal. Like, yeah, I don't really want to give up a 4th-round pick, but the Raiders right now have 9 picks. It's going to be 11 after comp picks. Like, I'm okay. If I get one of the top cornerbacks in the National Football League on the Raiders, where do I sign up? Let's go to I'm Punchy 33. The Raiders screwed themselves on Carr value when they benched him. You're not wrong by saying that. I mean, it definitely sucks because, there was reports last year, the Raiders apparently turned down 2 first-round picks from Indianapolis and the Derek Carr trade sweepstakes. It does. It stinks. There's no doubt about it. But also, you got to give Dave Ziegler a little bit of credit because when he structured the contract of Carr, he basically put him on a 1-year prove-it deal. Derek couldn't prove it, and now you can get out of that deal instead of having to pay a mediocre quarterback $34 million this upcoming season and then 40 and then 40 again. Let's go to Thrash City Walker. Will you guys be live for the Super Bowl? Oh, yeah. Jeremy and I, we're going to be live on Super Bowl Sunday. I'm not necessarily sure what time exactly we'll get started. Probably like an hour, 30 minutes before kickoff. But if you've enjoyed our Thursday night shows, if you've enjoyed our watch parties for all the playoff games, basically, last Sunday or 2 Sundays ago, we had over 100,000 people join us, and hopefully y'all join us as well. So how about this? Who you got, KC or Philadelphia? Josh Jacobs was asked who he's going to be watching the Super Bowl, and he said, I hate the Chiefs. I hate the Chiefs too. Give me an FKC. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles to win this one. I'm going to go Eagles win 31-28. Let's go to This Is It. Hey, Mitch, and also my birthday, just became 22. Got any drink recommendations? I would say this. My 2 favorite drinks right now are, one, it's called a Carajillo, which is an espresso coffee, and then you get Liqueur 43. It's a really good drink if you like coffee. I also am a big fan of mezcal. It's like a smoky tequila. I don't like regular tequila. I like mezcal. Mezcal with any kind of fruit drink, it's going to knock your socks off. Or old-fashioned. Those are my go-tos. What's up, Ryan the Gritty? DC and Hunter Renfro to New Orleans for Michael Thomas and a 3rd. No, I don't want Michael Thomas. Like, I really, he's not a player that I'm even kind of interested in. Like, I'm telling you right now, not interested whatsoever in Michael Thomas. He's not healthy, ever. He hasn't been healthy for 2 years. It's going to be a solid Solid no. Sorry, I just saw something pop up around Derek Carr, and no new information for those of you watching live. Let's go to Porter James Jr. Get a pick. Should the Raiders trade for Greg Newsome? You know, it's kind of funny that you bring this up. So we have a Browns report host, shout out to Petey, and he was like talking about that on his show today. So apparently Greg Newsome, cornerback of Cleveland, was asked if he would be willing to change his position, and he said no. The reason why that's a story is because if he's not willing to change his position, then he's kind of the odd man out and could potentially be traded. If you go into a time machine and you look at some of the old draft videos that I did, I was really high on Greg Newsome. I think he's a good cornerback. I loved him when he was coming out of Northwestern. If he potentially was an option to get traded and you had a cheaper route to go and you know he's not going to be there, I would offer a draft pick. Petey! Not now, Chief. I'm in the freaking zone. I mean, I would offer a trade for Greg. What would Greg Newsome cost in a trade? Greg Newsome, what would he cost? Petey's saying third rounder, so I'll offer him a fourth. And if we can get him for a fourth, then we'll do the deal. Seriously, though, if you want any kind of news, rumors, you want free videos around the Raiders, if you're a diehard fan, hey, hit the subscribe button, turn on those notifications. This show is a lot like just being a bunch of Raider fans hanging out at a tailgate talking about the silver and black. If that's what you like to do, you're going to like this show. Let's go to Johnny, best running back in the draft. I mean, it's Bijan Robinson, but if I'm the Raiders, you don't need to draft a running back. Like, you have Zamir White. I would re-sign Amir Abdul, if I'm being honest. I would cut Brandon Bolden's ass, and then you're probably going to franchise tag Jacobs. Like, there's no need to draft another running back. The only way that they're going to draft another running back is if they don't keep Jacobs. I also like the kid Sincere McCormick, who he's going to be on the roster as well. Let's go to DJ. What? If Aaron joins the Raiders, what talent do you think would join the Raiders to play with Rodgers? I mean, Randall Cobb, guaranteed, locked and loaded. If Rodgers comes to the Raiders, which I do think ends up happening, the Hunter Renfro trade rumors are going to start going because I see Rodgers bringing Randall Cobb, who is a free agent this upcoming year. Mercedes Lewis is another option as well at tight end because Foster Moreau is going to be a free agent. So those are my top two guys. Another player to not sleep on, I put John Runyon in a trade video. He's going to be a free agent, and I know he's got a good relationship with Derek, and he's a left guard. If I was the Raiders, I would try to get John Runyon, and then, I would say Randall Cobb, and then also Mercedes Lewis. If you guys want to be able to interact with me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and if you want to join our awesome people over on Locals, I mean, Wild One was telling you all about it. Brandon Jasper was telling you all about it. It's RaidersReport.locals.com. Check it out. For diehard Raider fans, I do think that you would really, really enjoy it. All right, more questions here, or is that it on the mailbag? It's up to you. One more question. I don't know. I just didn't know exactly. So, next question rolling in from Wild One. Lattimore for Carr and Renfro. Man. I love Lattimore. I mean, if this is the deal that would end up going down, I would still consider it a win for the Raiders because Lattimore is the best player in the deal. Like, would you guys do this trade? Y for yes, N for no. I think it's an interesting idea. Moving on from Renfro does kind of stink, right? But if it's a third-round pick for Carr, and then if the Raiders also, the value, let's say, for Renfro's a third, if you were to tell me 2 third-round picks for Marshawn Lattimore, that's a huge win in my book because if Jalen Ramsey went for 2 first-rounders, Lattimore is better than Marshawn Lattimore is better than Jalen Ramsey right now. And if you think that's a hot take, you didn't watch football last season. All right, guys, that's the end of today's mailbag. So please subscribe. Stay tuned in. Remember, we're going to be live for the Super Bowl, so join in on that. We're going to be rooting against Kansas City. Let's go Birds in terms of that just because, dude, I don't want the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. That's all I know. So subscribe, tune in, turn on those notifications.